The UK's decision to supply Ukraine with Storm Shadow long-range missiles marks a critical moment in Kyiv's ongoing war against Russian aggression. These missiles, already in Ukraine's possession but previously restricted to use only within Ukrainian borders, are now being eyed for potential strikes deep inside Russian territory, a move that could shift the dynamic of the conflict. Storm Shadow is a highly sophisticated Anglo-French cruise missile designed for precision targeting of fortified installations. It has a range of 250 kilometers, 155 miles, and its capabilities have been invaluable for Ukraine, especially in strikes against Russian infrastructure in occupied Crimea. For instance, attacks on Russia's Black Sea naval headquarters in Sevastopol demonstrated its effectiveness in making key Russian military positions vulnerable. The missile, designed to evade air defenses by flying close to the terrain, is ideal for targeting bunkers, ammunition depots, and other strategic sites. Ukraine has been pushing for weeks to lift the restrictions that prevent the use of these missiles beyond its borders. Many of the most devastating Russian missile and airstrikes, which target Ukrainian cities, military positions, and critical infrastructure, originate from bases inside Russia itself. Kyiv argues that being unable to target these bases hampers its ability to defend its people and forces. This situation, they contend, is akin to fighting a war with one arm tied behind its back. With Russian bombers launching missiles from secure locations deep inside Russian territory, Ukraine is desperate for long-range capabilities to even the playing field. While Ukrainian drones have successfully struck targets within Russia, these efforts have been limited by the small payloads the drones can carry, and most are intercepted before they reach their destination. In contrast, the Storm Shadow and the American ATACMS, which Kyiv is also requesting, offer significantly more firepower and range, making them critical assets for countering Russian attacks. The prospect of Storm Shadow missiles being used against Russian targets has raised concerns in the West, particularly in Washington. The primary worry is the risk of escalation. Although President Vladimir Putin's red lines have largely proven to be bluffs, there remains a fear that allowing Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia could provoke retaliation. In a worst-case scenario, Russia could retaliate against Western supply lines, potentially triggering NATO's Article 5 and escalating the conflict into a direct confrontation between Russia and the alliance. Despite these concerns, experts suggest that Storm Shadow could be a game-changer for Ukraine's military operations. Russian forces have already adapted to the missile threat by moving their key assets further into Russia, beyond its range. However, if Kyiv were granted full freedom to use Storm Shadow, it could force Russia to reconsider the positioning of its air defenses, potentially making it easier for Ukrainian drones and other assets to slip through. Ultimately, while Storm Shadow may not turn the tide of the war single-handedly, its strategic value is undeniable. For Ukraine, being able to strike back at the source of Russian bombardments could provide crucial breathing room for its cities and frontline troops. However, the West must carefully weigh the benefits of lifting restrictions against the risks of provoking a wider conflict.